This is Anthony Robles, and you're watching Matburn.
This is Hasaan Hawthorne, and you're watching the Matburn.
Hi, this is Frank Jasper, and you're watching the Matburn.
Welcome to Matburn. Today, this is Scott Allen, your host, and my co-host Greg Hussey is on. And you know Hasaan, I believe.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, you too.
In a couple of years.
It has.
Yeah, he's looking pretty old, isn't he?
So he's got that growing in pretty nicely there. I can't grow anything on my face.
I'm trying.
So, because you're going all Hollywood on us, I decided to bring in my own Hollywood heavyweight. I'm sure you're familiar with the movie Vision Quest as a top wrestler.
Absolutely.
So,
I was about to comment on the shirt you're wearing there before we jumped on live.
Yep, that's Shute right there.
Yes, sir.
So
How
I
you
brought
doing,
him on
Anthony,
to grill you. And Greg Hussey is my partner usually. He's the voice of Thompson Wrestling and our Thompson High School here that you visited when you came to see Hasaan a couple of years ago. So for those who don't know Anthony Robles, that means you live under a rock. But,
Under a wrestling rock somewhere.
yeah. You live under a mat somewhere. Anthony is the 2010-2011 NCAA national champion at 125 pounds. And Hasaan Hawthorne is the 2016 Alabama state champion. And what weight were you?
145.
145. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these two, Anthony is an inspiration to Hasaan. And one day, Norm Latona and JP Prince brought Anthony down to surprise Hasaan at a practice and inspire him. And I'm sure that's exactly why he won that state championship that year. Is that correct? You give him all the credit?
Yep.
So Hasaan doesn't have a book or a movie yet.
But he should. He should have it.
Yep, there we go.
Absolutely should.
I'm
But
working.
Anthony does have a book and a movie. And I have almost finished his book. I've gotten to the part where he just won the national championship.
Oh, nice.
I can't wait to see how it ends. So, I
Didn't he
probably
go
got a
undefeated
million
that?
questions about that.
And didn't he go undefeated that year too?
Yes, sir, I did. Finally did my college career. I mean, it was very relieving to get that. That was one of my goals, to go undefeated, especially first year as a freshman coming into college. I was pinned my first match in like the first 30 seconds. So it was a long goal too.
And both Anthony and Hasaan in their championship matches were voted outstanding wrestlers of their tournaments. And I have a funny story about that, because a few years ago, Jordan Burroughs came down to Alabama to do a clinic, and I got to hang out with him for a few days. And the thing that I'll never forget him saying is how upset he was that you were voted outstanding wrestler over him.
Hey, well, I tried to rack up the points to make it an easy decision, but Jordan's a beast. He's a great competitor, so it was just an honor to be able to compete against him for that award.
Yeah, he made it clear that it wasn't because you didn't deserve it. It's just that he felt he deserved it more.
Well, I'll argue with him on that one. I felt I deserved more, so it's the wrestler mentality right there, right?
Right.
And I think that Jordan Burroughs has gone on to do okay, I think. I don't know.
About Olympic or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, a couple other things after that.
Some world titles, some championships, and he's right in the mix still.
Something like it.
I was curious as to why you didn't continue wrestling after college.
I love wrestling, but I really like the especially just top bottom wrestling, getting on top. My bread and butter was the tilts, wrist control. And so I felt like freestyle in a way was kind of my favorite position. It was kind of taking the fun out of it for me, the opportunity to start to travel and do motivational speaking started to come up, and that really became a passion of mine. And, after sitting down, I thought about it long and hard. I just decided that, I accomplished my goals as far as competition goes in wrestling. Now it's kind of to turn the page, start a new chapter, and focus on another goal, which was motivational speaking. Of course, I'll never walk away from I love it so much, but I think at that time, as far as competition goes, I was ready to kind of move on,
Yeah, I read in the book about the ball and chain tilt that you seem to love a lot. Did you teach that to Hasaan when you came down?
Oh yeah, he's nodding his head. That's the bread and butter right there, right, Hasaan?
Yeah, he taught me everything. I think my favorite though is the thread the needle and go over top. I hit that all the time.
Yeah, that flip over. That's my favorite too. Actually,
over.
yeah, the first time, I don't know if I told you when I showed it to you, that the first time I did that flip over, my coach showed practice and I was in high school. It was my sophomore year. So, I'm putting it up and he's kind of showing, okay, he's like, when you roll, you got to, he's like, tuck your ear in your shoulder, roll over your shoulder. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm nodding. And I just pull back and I just roll through face first. Didn't tuck my head, boom, face plant. My nose is all buttoned up. I hate this move. I never want to do it again, but it quickly became one of my moves ever to do. So.
Oh yeah, it's a fun move, especially if you bait it well.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Of course, I forgot to mention the fact that you both share a common, I hate to use the word disability, but challenge, I suppose, where Anthony was born with only one leg and Hasaan was born without the shin bones, right?
Yep, in both legs.
Yeah, double amputee. And reading your book, I'm not surprised that you were not fond of the term disabled, because it does imply that you're unable to do things, which clearly is not the case. I mean, the things you did were remarkable. And the same thing with Hasaan. I mean, you both seem to have great parents who just taught you that nothing was impossible. At least Anthony's mom. After I read about his father, maybe I shouldn't include him in that. But Hassan's dad is a remarkable man, and I don't know if you had a chance to meet him, but he's been a great supporter of Hassan's career as well, and getting him to believe that he can do anything.
Yeah, I think we're both blessed with some special people in our lives, and I can't speak for Hasaan, but for me, my mom, she was that person, and she from day one. She raised me to never believe that me missing a leg was a disability. Yeah, it was going to be a challenge, and obviously I knew that, kind of from the get-go, but she taught me to see it as just kind of like a puzzle. There was never anything I couldn't do. It was just certain things I would have to figure out how to do differently as I grew up, as I progressed through life. And, that's one of the things that just drew me so much to wrestling, was that one-on-one aspect of it. And I just remember, walking in the room, and it's like, everybody's different in there. You got tall, short, stocky. Everyone has their own unique body types, and what wrestling's all about is just going out there and figuring out how to use your body type to get your arm raised, and that's what I love, is like, it's not about what I don't have, it's not about what I can't do, it's about figuring it out, just that puzzle. And, it just kind of just echoed what my mom always taught me.
It's wrestling is the greatest sport because virtually anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. If they find a way to do it. I coached a girl who had cerebral palsy. And a lot of, I had to figure out how to get her to wrestle, because she couldn't balance. She couldn't put any weight on her right leg, but her left leg was pretty strong. So I basically, I drew from the things that I saw from you and Hasaan, and I got her down on one knee in a 3-point stance, and she ended up winning some matches in her first year. I was pretty proud of her. Yeah. So there's always a way. And in our high school, we had a wrestler who was legally blind, and he relied on the same tools that you and Hasaan did, which is basically have a killer grip. Because once he got a hold of you, this is Kevin McClure. Once he got a hold of you, you weren't getting away ever. Because if he let go of you, then he'd have a little problem, because all he could see were colors and shapes. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the beauty of wrestling. It's just like it's all inclusive. Like you deal with your own things, your own challenges, but when you go out there on the mat, you figure it out. And it just gives you that sense of. For me, it gave me like a sense of just like self-confidence. It helped me to build my self-confidence up and just helped me to find my own sense of identity and just going out there and a lot of the lessons I learned in wrestling just translated into my life. I never forgot just that overcoming that adversity out there. When I'm out there and things don't seem to be going my way, physically I start kind of wearing down, and you got to push through that discomfort. You got to keep that positive mindset, and that's what I love about it. All these different stories that are coming up, like Hasaan, and I was just watching a documentary on YouTube. It was a couple of days ago called "Shot in the Dark." It's actually another blind wrestler, and it's an amazing story. All these different things coming up, and it's just inspiring to see men and women, who are getting into wrestling, who are overcoming these challenges. And it's just a testament to not only the sport, but just the human spirit, what we're all capable of if we just stay focused, if we're willing to just fight through that discomfort.
Yeah, that's exactly why I love to do these sorts of shows. And I forgot to mention that Kevin also was a state champ. So nothing holds you guys back, and it's very inspirational. And I'm going to invite Greg and Shute to jump in whenever, because I talk a lot and you can interrupt me at any time, guys.
Yeah, I was just going to say we were there when Anthony came down to the WWC and had the little session there. We taught the kids and stuff. I actually found my picture here. I was going to show you if you can see it.
Yeah.
Of you with my son.
Nice.
He's a state champ, and it had to be from that session with you is what drove him to being the state champ. That's my story. And I watched Hasaan wrestle for that other high school next to us over there. I forgot where he's from, but I've enjoyed watching him wrestle for years. But it was an awesome sight to see him come down there that night to the Warrior Wrestling Club and get with those kids, and it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, one thing, my son is Frank knows this and Greg knows, but my son has torn his ACL like 4 times since 8th grade. And, he used to, feel pretty badly about it. But, it was very easy to take him to practice and say, hey, Hasaan doesn't have any knees at all. So stop complaining and get out there.
I mean, both these gentlemen here are inspirations for everybody. Not just other people that have challenges like them, but just for everybody. As Anthony is talking about, this gave him an opportunity to overcome. And I see in my practice, there's 2 different people. There's 2 different types. You have ones that there's always a challenge. There's always some sort of challenge. Now, one will be a victim of that challenge. The other will take that challenge on and rise above it. And I think that both of these young men show that. And they're good for us to see that we have to overcome our own little insecurities or whatever issues we have. And these guys are shining examples of that. So thank you for that, man.
Thank you. It's a fun sport. It's like, this is a game of adjustments, really, and you tweak things to work for you, and that's what I like about it so much. Everyone can learn a high crotch, but then the way you modify it depends on how successful it is. And that's what I really, lured me to the sport and what made me love it was because I learned, that I could, you could teach me something, but I might not be able to sit in the car attack. I'm gonna get head and armed and get pinned quick, so I had to learn how to, use my grip and control wrist and work for ankles, and that's what really drew me to it. And then getting good on top with Anthony on tilts is like, that's where I learned how to control people. Like, oh yeah, this is fun. Now I can really start getting payback on all the times I got pinned in 5 seconds. It got pretty fun. So that's what I love about the sport is anyone can. It's a game of adjustments and modifications.
And Hasaan, you continued to wrestle in college just like Anthony did, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to college right now?
So right now I'm at Hastings College in Nebraska. They're NAIA, but I went to North Idaho College. They were a JUCO. So I spent 3 years there, had a redshirt 1 year because I got injured, and then transferred to Hastings in Nebraska. So I'm there now.
So how was your season going when they canceled it on you?
Oh, I didn't even have a season. I was hurt all year. I didn't even wrestle all year. So, yep, injury has been plaguing me, man. Last year I had a pretty good season, though. I was top 5 in JUCO at 149, and then ended up getting hurt again. So injuries just been crazy.
So did you say you're in North Idaho College?
Yep, yes, sir. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
That's right. That's where I went to school. I graduated. I wrestled at Coeur d'Alene High School. I actually played tennis on a tennis scholarship there at North Idaho. But they had one of the best wrestling teams.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Teams.
Probably one of the best JUCOs in the country, for sure.
Yeah. And Shute was the most terrifying tennis player in the country.
So yeah, if I didn't win on the court, then I'd catch them as they're going out.
That's right. Right. So first I want to talk about your movie, Anthony, because Hollywood obviously is a very interesting subject. I want to know, it's based on your book, correct? The movie?
Correct.
I want to know how you wrote the book in the first place, because it's pretty well written, and it's hard, I think, to describe wrestling matches with words. But you did a really good job. I felt like I could actually see the matches that you wrestled. So how did you come about, like, deciding to write the book? Did you have help writing it?
Well, thank you. Actually, the book, it was just kind of crazy that the opportunity to write the book came about like right after the national tournament. I started getting approached, and they started kind of pairing me up with different authors to try to work with. And so we kind of did like sample chapters. I basically just sit down with them and they say, just tell me your story, let's just talk it over. And they would try to capture my voice, is what they would say, try to get it in my voice. And I think I worked with 5 or 6 different authors before I found a really good writer, and his name was Austin Murphy. And at the time, he was the senior editor for Sports Illustrated for NFL. And so he had the sports mindset, and he had a little bit of knowledge about wrestling. But just talking with him, it was really easy, which was very refreshing, because when I had the opportunity to write the book, obviously I do motivational speeches, but the book was my whole life story out there. It was everything I'm not comfortable sharing all my little things. And so it was hard to let someone get into my head, hard to trust someone that much, because working with Austin, it was almost felt like a therapy session at times.
Yeah.
He's kind of poking and prodding and asking about, growing up, and, how I felt missing a leg, and certain times where I remember just hurt me. And so it was rough at times, but, I felt like for me, the goal of writing that book was to touch as many lives as I could, to help motivate as many people as I could by just sharing my insecurities and my struggles. And so I felt like I wanted to get as much as I could out there, be as honest as I could, because who knows what would resonate with who, with people who read it. And so that was my goal. And I think that kind of helped me through the whole process. But, I was very proud of the outcome of the book, and the movie is based off of the book. It took a while to kind of get everything together. I was pretty nervous about, I guess they call it signing your life rights away for a movie.
Yeah.
Because, I just talking to certain people, and my agent, he was saying, you got to be careful, because if you kind of sign your life rights to give your story away, they can kind of do whatever they want with it, and it was very important for me to kind of hold the integrity of the story, try to keep it as true and as close to the book as possible. So what we ended up doing, we passed up on a lot of opportunities to sign for a movie deal. We took some time to write the script first, which took a number of years. We started kind of going around to production companies and saying, hey, if you're willing to kind of stick to this, then we will, we'll sign it over to you. So it was a much longer process, but now, just looking back and, especially where we're at, I know it's something that I'm going to be proud of, and that my family's going to be proud of when it's on the big screen, and I know it's something that has a positive message, and it's as true to the actual story as possible.
And the movie is called Unstoppable. I didn't mention that yet.
I'm sorry. Where exactly are you with it? Is it in production? Has it been completed? Is it in editing? Where are we with the movie?
Yeah, the movie is going to be called Unstoppable. It's called Unstoppable, the Anthony Robles story. Where we're at right now, we are in, I guess, pre-production. We're setting up to shoot beginning of June, and then everything happened with COVID-19, so everything was on hold. I was actually supposed to fly out. It was like, I think it was end of March or beginning of April. I was supposed to fly out to Hollywood, and they were going to start doing the body screening I'm going to do all the wrestling scenes in the movie. So they wanted to body screen myself and the actor who's playing me, who they haven't announced yet. So unfortunately, everything's on hold right now. But the last time we talked, they said they still want to be very aggressive with this project, and they want to try to get it out sometime next year. So, once things start to and they can announce a shoot date, we're going to be moving pretty quickly.
Because Frank is available for cameos.
Yeah, it'd be perfect. Perfect. Maybe play you in the movie.
So he's got the guns. I remember when I was a freshman, I wanted to look like Frank.
And look, we're like almost twins.
Yeah. You stole one of my questions there, because I was going to say, how does somebody play you in a movie? I mean, how do you find? I mean, what you do is so unique. How could anyone? It took you a lifetime to develop what you can do. I can't see how any actor could do it, but so I assumed it had to be you playing yourself.
No, I know initially they kind of were asking me if I was interested in maybe doing that, and I told them no. I was like, it'd kind of be weird for someone to tell me how to act as me behind the camera, like say like, oh, you need to cry. I was like, well, I wouldn't really cry in real life for that, and stuff like that. So, I kind of shut that down, but, they're like, okay, well, at least consider doing the wrestling scenes. And I was like, oh, absolutely. That's something I was really excited about. So, where we're at right now, even though we're not filming yet, I've been in close contact with the actor who's playing me. And so we're trying to kind of match our bodies right now, so he's bulking and lifting and, I'm kind of trimming down. I've lost about 13 pounds now. So I'm like right around like 130 and trying to get a little bit lower. They want me down to 25s at least once for the shoot date. So, we're just kind of taking it a step at a time, and I'm just honored for the opportunity and definitely want to do the wrestling justice, and keep those scenes in house.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar, doesn't it, Shute?
Well, I'm just really excited that there's going to be a real quality movie that's coming out about wrestling. That's the part I'm looking at, because I have a feeling it's going to be fairly realistic. The wrestling is going to be more updated now. And then we'll also get to see, behind the scenes of what it was like for, Anthony to go through the challenges that he did and the support of his mother. And I think that's also going to speak to parents about maybe looking at the way that they're talking to their kids on the wrestling mat as well.
Yes. And we did an interview with Frank a few weeks ago. And he talked very similarly about he had to cut a lot of weight for the movie, and Matthew Modine had to gain a lot of weight because they were supposed to be in the same weight class. And I know in the movie it doesn't look like they're in the same weight class, but they got pretty close.
I don't look like I'm 168 pounds.
No, you really didn't look 168. It's like saying I look 200. That's just not true.
But I bet wrestling, in front of a camera is pretty fun. I got an opportunity in a music video. So I think wrestling in front of, with the director can be pretty sweet.
You got to do this, Hasaan?
Not like for a movie, but I got opportunity to be in a music video with like Shawn Mendes and Khalid. It's called Youth. And they bought a whole bunch of like kids who were like kind of doing their own thing in the world, doing some dope things. And I got opportunity to call me, and I got to wrestle in it. And some other people got to play basketball and like draw. So Anthony's gonna have a blast wrestling in front of a director and a camera. It'll be just natural.
Oh, that's so cool. You got to send me a link to that. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I will, for sure.
So I have a question for Anthony. I just would love to know your top 3 things that you think had the biggest impact on you so far. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of them, but if you could pick 3, your top 3 of like this moment, this time, this accomplishment, I'm sure that that really make a big difference for you.
I would say number 1, it would have been my junior year in college. I went in that year, I think I was ranked like 3rd or 4th in the country, but the experience specifically was, going to the national tournament and finishing 7th place actually. Because I remember mentally, I thought I was going to win it. I was planning on winning it. That was the goal. A lot of kind of off the mat issues going on with my family. My stepdad kind of not with the family. So my mom, she was under pressure being a single parent. But I just remember losing in the quarterfinals and just kind of mentally just breaking, just felt like I was just plummeting down. But actually finishing that season, I remember for the first time since I started wrestling at 14 years old, I completely took the summer off from wrestling. I didn't go into the practice room. I was still kind of working out, lifting on my own, but I didn't wrestle at all summer long. And I didn't think I was going to be coming back my senior year. But, you know, I remember getting a stack of letters from a group of third graders that summer. You know, they sent them to ASU, and then my coaches called me in the office and they gave me these letters, and, you know, they were just writing me as their hero of the week. You know, and this was after the loss, you know, and so I just remember looking at these, and, you know, I started crying, but it kind of opened my eyes, and it was a turning point for me because I realized that, you know, I was wrestling for more than just myself and a trophy at that point. You know, I was wrestling, you know, to really put the spotlight on an important message. And that's, you know, we all have a challenge, you know, we all get knocked down sometimes, but that's not what matters. It's how you react to that, you know, about getting back up, about telling yourself you're not going to let that challenge become an excuse, you know. And so I wouldn't have come back without those surgeries and without those letters. So I'd say that was definitely number one right there. You know, I mean, just that turning point, just that realization for me. Number two, I would say, I mean, I got to say winning the national finals, you know, I mean, that was just, I mean, dream come true. And just to be on that platform, you know, it was just, man, it was like taking a breath for the first time, you know. It just, I still think about it. I mean, every day, honestly, you know, so that was something special. But, you know, after that, I'd say number three was just going to the ESPY Awards. And that was kind of my first opportunity to really share a speech, you know, a motivational type message, and just kind of put my heart out there. And, you know, receiving the Jimmy V Award, I wanted to really do more than just go out there and say a list of thank yous, you know. So, I mean, I was working on that speech for like a month and a half with my speaking coach, and, you know, we wrapped it up with that Unstoppable poem. You know, he came up with that, and, you know, ever since that's been my message, you know. And so it's just been it's been an amazing journey, you know, a lot of ups and downs, but, you know, those three moments for me, they were life-changing, you know, and I just feel very fortunate to be able to go through it, you know. Even the challenges, they made me who I am, so I feel blessed for it.
Yeah, that speech was amazing.
Yeah, our challenges are what define us. It's what, you know, it's like refining the sword. It has to be tempered, it has to be heated, it has to be pounded, folded, you know, until it becomes sharpened. And then I just had another quick question. Is like, man, I just, you know, where do you think that wrestling is going to go? What do you think they need to do, you know, in order to go forward? Do you see like there needs to be any changes to make it even more exciting? Is there anything that you would recommend as somebody that's been there and now looking back at it?
Well, honestly, I think wrestling's heading in the right direction right now. You know, I think they're making some leaps and bounds. It's just so awesome to see. You know, I remember as a freshman, sophomore in high school, you know, trying to watch the NCAA tournament. I think all they had was the finals on TV. You know, now, I mean, you can watch every round online, on TV, I mean, multiple channels. So that's just amazing, you know, just to see the sport getting more coverage. I mean, to see stories like Hasaan coming up, you know, like I mentioned, you know, the wrestler who just had a documentary, it's called Shot in the Dark. You know, just all these amazing stories to see women's wrestling continue to grow. I think Arizona just announced that at the high school level, women's wrestling is recognized as a team sport now. You know, and so just to see that just continue to grow across the country, wrestling's in a great place. You know, and I think I think it's a good thing that college wrestling, they continue to kind of tweak the rules here and there, you know, try to make it more fan friendly and interesting to watch on TV. So I think we're going the right direction. I think personally, the only thing I would change is, you know, we got to do something with the challenges in college wrestling. You know, when we're watching on ESPN, you know, especially in the championship finals, I mean, it seems like every couple of seconds, you know, someone's throwing a brick, and so it just stops the action and kind of takes away from the whole conditioning part of wrestling. You know, gives the guys some breaks at certain times. So I think they just need to figure out how to kind of tweak that a little bit, you know. But other than that, I'm excited to see where wrestling's at right now. You know, I love where we're at. I love where we're going, and you know, it's just it's a great place to be, considering. I mean, a couple of years ago, they were talking about removing wrestling from the Olympics. You know, I remember being at Arizona State, and they dropped the program in between my freshman and sophomore year. You know, so to go from that to where we are now, it's a great place to be, and you know, we're just going to continue moving up. You know, I think we're stronger than ever right now.
And what about the athletes that won't be able to do NCAA championships this year? Do you have any view about how they could rectify that? How they could maybe give them another year of eligibility or some other way to, yeah, because like, just think, it was one of your greatest moments to win that. And there's so many athletes that are never going to have that opportunity because of COVID-19.
Yeah, I feel so bad for those athletes. You know, I mean, I couldn't imagine being in that position, you know, not getting that opportunity. And I mean, honestly, personally, I'm kind of mad at the NCAA for making that decision. I mean, I feel like, you know, their number one job is to look after the athletes, you know, do what's best for the athletes. And, you know, by taking away that opportunity, it's clearly not what's best for those athletes. You know, I think they should have tried to make some sort of accommodations. You know, I'm not one of the higher ups, but I mean, even something as simple as just like allowing those seniors to wrestle in the NCAA tournament. Okay, maybe not give them the year, but just make it kind of like an open type thing, you know, where the seniors get an opportunity to just jump into the tournament next year and compete, you know. But I mean, I believe something needed to be done. I mean, if not a full year, partial year, something, but just to take it away from them and say, sorry, you know, good luck with whatever you're doing now. I mean, in college, an athlete, that's your life. You're a college athlete. You know, you have no time for the other things, you know. So for them to sacrifice for 4 or 5, some 6 years, and then just not give the opportunity that they've been sacrificing 4 or 5, 6 years for, it's
Anthony, imagine if they had taken away your senior year. There'd probably be no book. There'd probably be no movie. I mean, your whole life would be completely different.
Yeah,
they don't understand what they're doing with these people's lives.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I don't want to take away from other sports, but wrestling, you sacrifice an extreme amount. You know, I mean, just from the weight management, it's physically and mentally grueling. You know, and we're all doing that for 4 opportunities. You know, at climbing a podium, and so it's like, you know, at the very least, you got to see that, you know, how much sacrifice is there, and just give them that opportunity, try to figure it out. You know, I mean, this is a unprecedented time, so you know, we got to be creative with the solutions here. You know, you can't just be like, oh well, sorry, but you know, we got to try to figure this out. And I'm just ashamed to see and hear what the NCAA did. You know, just to kind of make it as simple as sorry. You know, good luck with everything else you're going to be doing in your life.
You know, reading your book, you almost didn't go to your senior year on your own. You almost made that decision by yourself. Mm-hmm. You were done, didn't want to do it anymore. And that would have affected Hassaan's life, probably, you know, because he never would have had a chance to meet you or have that inspiration. And it's scary how close you came to not returning your senior year.
Oh yeah, I honestly can't believe how close I came, you know, and I'm just so blessed to have had those third graders come up. But you know, I think that just goes to show us all, you know, no one can do it alone. You know, we all need some support at times. We all need someone to kind of help lift us up. And, you know, I was blessed to have those third graders there. And, you know, so I try to do my best to turn around and do the same for other people now, you know, to try to give back to the wrestling as much as I can to help inspire others. And I mean, Hasaan, you know, I'm sure he's inspiring people around him, you know, the wrestling community around him, and just giving back. And that's what it's about. You know, no one ever makes it alone, but once you get there, remember that you didn't make it alone. You know, now it's your turn to turn around and help us get up and keep going. And, you know, that's a very valuable lesson that I learned from wrestling and from that experience in particular. So it's just, you know, it's very important to me to try to give back now. You know, it's not all about me. And I know that. I'm just very blessed to have gained that knowledge and have had that experience.
Yeah, that's a good segue into something I want to talk to Hasaan about, which is he was inspired by one of his teammates, EJ Elliott. And we did a show last week about EJ, who was unfortunately shot and killed. He was bringing some rent money to a friend of his downtown, and somebody found out he was going to be bringing the money and robbed him and killed him. But this EJ was a person of outstanding character and a born leader, from what I've heard from his friends. But we didn't have a chance to get Hasaan on with his other friends to give him a tribute and talk about what EJ meant to him. And he just had the funeral just a few days ago. Did you get a chance to go to the funeral, Hasaan?
No, sadly I couldn't, because, you know, everything going on right now with COVID. Everyone's safely, you know, social distancing and stuff. And I also was doing a lot of travel on the way home, so I just didn't want to get anybody sick. But yeah, I was able to go, which was very sad. EJ was a very close friend of me. You know, his family was great to me. He's like a big bro, honestly. So not being able to go because of COVID was very sad, and I was pretty mad about it, honestly. I wish that ever happened. I wish COVID wasn't here, so I would have been able to go. But yeah, it's just a really sad story. I didn't believe it when it first happened. I still don't. It's still hard to believe. But yeah, that was big bro. He moved to Pelham my sophomore year, I think his junior year, and he moved from Hoover, and Hoover was a pretty good wrestling team at the time. They had AWC there, so I already knew he was a good wrestler. And then for me and Dylan, we go to Warrior Wrestling Club and get better there over summer. But then we go to Pelham. We didn't really have the teammates and the training, so we'd either stay stagnant or we really wouldn't get better during season between me and him. We would just wrestle each other and get better between us. But than that, we weren't really getting pushed like we would have in the summer with all the good teammates. When EJ came, man, he really he pushed all of us honestly, and he was on us hard. He took over the team, and then he was just a fun guy. He was just fun to be around. He just kind of taught us how to carry ourselves in the hallway, how to joke around, how to be serious, but also how to be fun and serious in the wrestling room as well. So junior year, when he got cheated, I want to say in the semis, and I thought he was going to win it. I knew he was going to win it. Just having battles with him and Dylan in the room every day, I was like, no one's beating him. And then seeing him lose was like, dang, like that's whack. Like that shouldn't have happened. And then, like Dylan was saying, I watched the podcast. He was just like, don't feel this pain. Like this pain sucks. Like I don't want y'all to feel that. And then it may have been his senior year. It may have been his senior year, but he just came in the room after that and was always pushing us. Even after he graduated and moved, he was pushing us hard to not feel that pain. And then, he was always texting us, keeping us up to date on how he's doing, but also checking in on us. So he was like a big brother for real. And he was just fun. Like everything we did in the hallways was fun. We joked around all the time, 24/7. We cracked jokes in the wrestling room all the time. So like he brought that fun aspect in the sport that's just grueling and hard and crazy, to be honest. What we do is crazy, but he brought that fun aspect to it, but also how to work hard. So he taught me and Dylan a lot about how to handle our business in the classroom, in life, and on the mat. So yeah, it's just a sad story.
Yeah, my heart breaks for you guys. The family still, no family is prepared to lose a son at that age, and they need help still financially to help pay for the funeral. And there is a GoFundMe that we've been encouraging people to join. And if you guys could issue a challenge to people watching, to donate $5 to EJ's GoFundMe page. If you get a whole bunch of people donating $5, it makes a huge difference. I know a lot of people think that, they can't afford to help, but, you don't have to donate a lot to help make a big difference.
It's very true. Yeah, I've been sharing it on my Facebook. I'm going to keep sharing it.
That's great.
So I had a question for Anthony. As far as the future goes, well, where do you see yourself in regards to the wrestling community? How much are you going to participate? I know that you've got your book and the movie, so you're busy, and you're also still doing. I'm assuming still doing motivational speaking when you're not doing that. It sounds like you've got a lot on the table, and so after the movie's made, where do you see things going for you, and what is it you would like to do next?
Well, first I'm say real quick, Hasaan, my heart breaks for you, man. Just know your friend, he lives on in your memory and what you do in life. Just remember that. All those things that he taught you. You continue his legacy. But if there's anything I can do, shoot me those links. I'll share them up on my stuff. But kind of. I don't know how to awkwardly switch gears, but to answer your question, wrestling, I love it so much. I want to continue to be around it. For the rest of my life. Right now, I'm honored with the opportunity to commentate still for ESPN and Pac-12 network. So we'll continue to do that. I'm hoping to start my own wrestling camp here pretty soon. We were talking about this summer, but obviously with everything going on, we're going to put it on hold till next summer. It looks like, but one of the things I'm really excited about right now is I'm actually going to get ready to launch my own podcast in June. It's called the Unstoppable Podcast. And what I want to do is I want to talk to people who have wrestled through life's challenges, like Hasaan, like other people who have dealt with things throughout their lives, and despite the obstacles that they've had to wrestle, have become unstoppable. and so just hear their stories and try to get those little nuggets, those little tips that help them through, to help motivate others. And so, and also in a way, just help to, continue to shine the spotlight on wrestling, to bring in cool wrestling stories with other athletes as well. And so I'll continue to be on wrestling as much as I can. It's something that forever changed my life. I love the, call it that brotherhood, that sisterhood of it, that wrestling family. It's real. And, so this is something that will permanently and thankfully forever be in my life. And so anything I can do to support wrestling and the up and coming wrestlers, I'll be there. So.
That's great. You said earlier how you won that award on the ESPYs, and in your book you detail how you don't like the name of the award. That was
best male athlete with a disability.
Best male with a disability. Like, you could have easily won best male athlete without anything after it, But wouldn't it be nice to, instead of saying disabled, you guys are unique or unconventional or non-traditional, because you're just as good as any other wrestler, and you could have easily have won best athlete of any sport out there that year. So, but the thing I was leading up to is that I believe you have a pretty funny story about meeting Serena Williams.
My crush.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember being at the ESPYs, and I think early on, Serena was up on stage, and she was introducing one of the awards. And she was just beautiful. So I just remember, I was just looking at her. I was like, wow, that'd be so awesome to meet her. And, so I come off stage after my acceptance speech, and someone kind of runs up and taps me on the shoulder. And I guess, it was her assistant. And she's like, hey, would you mind taking a second to, meet Serena? She wants to come talk to you. I was like, oh, of course, I'm as long as she wants, but she came over, and obviously my cheeks were all red and I was blushing, but she just gave me a big hug, super nice. Just shared a little bit with me about her challenges and how my speech inspired her, and it was an honor. It was a cool moment, and got to meet my crush. So
that is good. You left out the funny part of the story.
Which part is that? I couldn't stop smiling.
She's a lot taller than you.
Oh, with her high heels on, she was.
Yeah,
but
and you came up to a particular level where it was hard to make eye contact.
Yeah. I was kind of like, chest level. My eyes are chest level. So I was making sure to be polite, but she. But man, it was cool. Just a cool experience just to meet her. I was just, she's a true champion. She's a beast in her own right, and so to be there and bump elbows with people like her, to meet something to Tom Brady on the elevator, just to hear those.
I love Tom Brady. I'm from Boston, but I hear you're a Raiders fan.
Huge Raiders fan.
You got a tattoo somewhere, right?
I do. It's this one right here, my first one.
Nice. Yeah, I love Serena too. She seems like the sweetest person.
Yeah, super nice.
She is such a champion, and like you said, she's overcome so many different challenges. She almost died giving birth. Mm-hmm. She's come back, and she's still threatening at age, I think she's 34, 35. Mm-hmm. She
just has one more win to beat the all-time record for wins, I think.
Yeah, she's just one away from tying all-time Grand Slams from one from Australia, Margaret Court. Yeah.
Right. But she wanted to meet Anthony. It wasn't the other way around.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
No, it was an honor for me. It was a dream.
So did you get her phone number?
No, I had a girlfriend at the time, so I did not.
Oh, man. You should hear the story about Shute and Madonna. That was a good one. So, Greg, you got anything?
No, I just want to say it's great seeing you guys. Like I said, I've watched Hasaan wrestle for years and thought it was great. And Anthony, I've seen some footage of you, and I saw you that night at the Warrior Wrestling Club. So I think you guys have done an awesome job of overcoming. I'm not going to say disability, overcoming your challenges through everything in life and becoming not just a champion of wrestling, but just champion of life. You guys are awesome young men.
Thank you.
Yep. I unfortunately missed that night at the club. You know, Norm Latona kept sending out that he had a special guest coming, and my son had a test to study for. But had he said who the special guest was, I could have made an exception, and I would have definitely have been there. So unfortunately, it was a surprise, and I missed it. But I'm glad that I got to see you now. And I think we got your contact or information from JP Prince.
You did, yeah. I still keep in contact with JP, my old teammate.
Yeah. So I wanted you to tell some JP stories.
Some
right. Yeah, since he couldn't make it, he wanted to be on today, but he had something came up and he couldn't make it. So, you know, now you can embarrass him since he's not here.
Some JP stories, man. Oh.
Hey, while you're thinking about that, I would also just love to hear if you're still in contact with the other wrestlers that are on the team. I feel like wrestling is such a brotherhood, and it's such a bond. You guys go into battle together and you support one another, and you know what you miss about that, and who you still stay in contact with.
Oh yeah, I absolutely still keep in touch with quite a few of my old teammates. I mean, JP is one of them. Our old 41 pounder Chris Druin, he was an All-American at Arizona State. He transferred to Iowa State. He's a police officer out in San Diego now. I keep in touch with him quite a bit. I mean, one of my best friends, his name is Brian Stitt. He was the assistant wrestling coach at ASU for 4 years and my teammate for 1 year. And, you know, he graduated and became so wrestling, just that brotherhood, just, you know, scrapping with each other in that practice room every single day. I mean, it's funny because, you know, if you're an outsider and you walk in that room, you would never think that we were so close. You know, you wouldn't think we're friends. I mean, the way we're going at each other, but, you know, as soon as you step off that mat, you know, and you get to turn that switch off, you know, you're not in wrestling mode anymore. I mean, it's a special bond, you know, and that's something that I'll forever be grateful for, and something that I still rely on today from those guys, you know, which is why we're still close. I mean, I'm starting my own podcast. My buddy Carlos Castro, who is one of my main training partners, you know, he's a 33 pounder. You know, I called him up. I was like, hey, you know, can you just work with me on just kind of my interview skills? I need to practice a little bit. And, you know, he kind of came over, gave me some tips. And it's like, you know, we're always trying to build each other up. It doesn't matter if we're done competing now, just in the rest of our life, we're still kind of, you know, giving each other feedback. We're trying to help each other grow as men, you know, now as a couple of them are husbands now and dads. And, you know, so it's just, it's a brotherhood. You know, I'm learning from these guys, and I try to teach them certain things, but, you know, we're going to grow together, and that wrestling bond will never go away. It's a special thing.
How about Bubba Jenkins? You still in touch with him?
I keep in touch with Bubba, not as much. He's all over the place right now. I think he's out of the country. But I mean, just having Bubba transfer over our senior year to Arizona State, it was a lot of fun having him there. You know, I'm kind of more of a quiet, kind of lead by example guy. Bubba had no problem being more of the voice. Yeah. You know, I mean, he came to the Penn State match ASU this past year, and he was right there on the side, just fired up, you know, just cheering on the guys and yelling at them. So it was fun to have that dynamic of both of us, you know, on the team, and, you know, being around Bubba. And it was funny because I remember picking him up from the airport. But it was the first time, you know, he'd signed with ASU. The first time he got off the plane in Arizona, they sent me to pick him up. And so, you know, so I'm there at the airport. I grab him, and, you know, we're talking. He's asking about the guys on the team and the dynamics and everything, the coaches. And, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, things are good. I told him, you know, I'm one of the leading point scorers. I told him, you know, my goal is to be the leader the rest of this next season. And he's like, I was one of the leaders at Penn State. He's like, so I want that award this year. I looked at him. I was like, Bubba, it's like, I'm Kobe or Shaq. And you know, he started laughing. But I mean, Bubba he was fun, man. He just made it. He made it an enjoyable experience on those days where it wasn't that enjoyable. You know, on those certain days where you just went in and you're just tired. You know, it just started to get you down. Bubba made it fun again. You know, he was a breath of fresh air in that room. So it was nice to have him.
He's another person who could easily have a movie because his story that year was remarkable. He came in with something to prove because the Penn State people were not happy with him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he ends up in the finals against David Taylor and pins him. Mm-hmm. That was between your match and his match. That was quite a year for ASU.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a special night for us. A great year for ASU for sure. We had fun.
It's hard to believe they almost killed your program 2 years before that.
Yeah. It was in between my freshman and sophomore year. I remember I was doing my summer job. I was working at an airport, and I was washing and waxing airplanes. And so I remember I was on the wing of a plane. I was washing it with these giant brushes. My phone just kept ringing. And so I finally I answer it just to kind of figure out who's calling me. It was a local news station. Like, hey, we just wanted to get your comments on Arizona State dropping the wrestling program. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, you haven't heard it. It's on the news. It's, look up ASU wrestling. And sure enough, they decided to, because of budget cuts, they got rid of the wrestling program. But it was that summer, I think it took like 2 months. Some wrestling donors really stepped up to self-endow the program for a couple years, and which is why I stuck around. They saved the program, and little by little we started kind of rebuilding and fundraising. But they're in a strong place now. But it was a scary position to be in back then.
You had the same athletic director that you did back then?
No. Her name was Lisa Love. I believe they let her go. But the new athletic director now, Ray Anderson, he's awesome. I think his background was kind of in NFL, but he's got a soft spot for wrestling. It's awesome. I'm commentating the matches quite a bit, for Pac-12. And so, I'll be there at the matches, and Ray Anderson's there with his wife watching. They're cheering on the wrestling team. They're there at the fundraisers. And that was something I had never seen when I was competing at ASU. So it's clear that they have the backing now and that support. And, they want to be national champions. They want to bring a title to Arizona State again. And I think, it was clear this past year when they beat Penn State that they're on the right track. They did really well against Ohio State. I think that came down to like the last match. So Arizona State is rebuilding. And I think that's perfect for wrestling. Like I said, to continue to grow wrestling, we're seeing these programs pop up in college that traditionally you never would have thought to be really good wrestling schools, or popular for wrestling. And so to see Arizona State bring back their dominance, it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. It was interesting to see that you picked Arizona State as a walk-on when you had a full ride to Drexel. And a lot of that was due to your mother, the relationship you have with your mother. Is that correct? That's
correct. Yeah. Drexel, it was such an amazing opportunity. It was the only scholarship offer I had gotten. And Coach Jack Childs, who was the head coach at the time, he was awesome. A great guy. I really liked him quite a bit. They were telling me everything I wanted to hear, and anything I could ask for. Like, we want you to be one of the faces of the program, we want to build this around you. And I remember taking my trip out there, and everything was awesome. But I just remember sitting in the restroom watching the guys practice, just thinking about the decision I was going to make. And I just remember thinking, this isn't home, and for me, home was always my family. It was always my mom, just having that strong support no matter what. And it was just too hard for me to be away from them, especially with wrestling. I knew I was going to need their support behind me, through that grind. So Arizona State, didn't get the full ride initially. They offered me a partial academic scholarship and some books. But for me, I was like, well, it's an opportunity. I just got to prove myself, but it's close to home, and in the end, it became a blessing, because I got to stick around here. I've made lifelong friends here. I got to be the hometown boy. And so, my family got me through some rough times, and it would have been hard being so far away and not having my mom and my siblings be able to see me every weekend wrestle. So
your mom never missed a home match.
She didn't. No, she never missed any home matches. I remember she came late to one of them. She missed one match because she came a little late. She thought I was going to be later on because usually they put me towards the end, but they made me first match up. It was against Iowa State my junior year. So,
in a way, Lisa Love got you the scholarship because when she killed the program, she released all the wrestlers to go somewhere else, and you started getting heavily recruited, getting full ride offers from Oklahoma and everywhere else. So they had to match it to keep you.
They did, and it was pretty interesting for me. Next summer, they're like, hey, great news, the program's back. And it's like, well, awesome. What are we going to do about my scholarship? Because at that time, I think I had to get I think it was like 60 community service hours to qualify my scholarship. And when they dropped the program, I just kind of stopped doing my community service because I figured I was going to transfer out. And so it expired. And like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll get you some more time on the clock. We can re-sign you. I was like, I appreciate it, but Oklahoma's giving me a full ride. I'm going to go over there, and my coach was like, hey, don't sign anything. Don't do anything. We'll be there later this week. We'll go to your house. We're going to have a meeting. And so they showed up and they put a full ride on the table. They're like, we need your help rebuilding the program. I think we lost, I want to say we lost 2 or 3 guys because of the program being dropped that were recruits. So they're like, we need your help rebuilding. We need people to understand that Arizona State will be safe in the future, that this is still a place that you can come and wrestle and, we'll honor scholarship. So we want you to be a part of putting that message out there. And, when they put it that way, I was like, this was now my family, I was like, I didn't want to abandon my family. I wanted to be there and help rebuild. So
it's amazing how loyal you are, considering most people in your position would have felt extremely unappreciated. Is that the moment where you felt they finally appreciated you?
It was. It honestly was. And, I did really feel unappreciated when they told me they were just going to renew the scholarship that I previously had, giving those community service hours back. I felt like, during that downtime, they were asking me to do a lot of media stuff and kind of help, fundraise and things. And so I felt very underappreciated, but, when they came at me like that, they just laid it all on the table and they were honest. And, I appreciated it, and that's all I ever really wanted from them, was just to have their respect, have their appreciation, and, just really have my back 100%, and from that point on, it was like, we're on the same page, we're in this together, and, we got a plan, we got a mission to go after now, let's accomplish this mission together. And, I was fired up for it.
In regards to being an athlete and what you said, being appreciated, it's interesting that they're looking at and starting to put into play a possibility of getting paid for certain things. How do you feel about that? What would you like to see happen in regards to that?
I've been reading about that. It's pretty interesting. And I mean, I think it's a good idea to an extent. I think the NCAA makes quite a bit of money off of college athletes and they never see a dime of it. I know me personally, when I was on certain TV shows promoting the book, they were actually required to, I think it was like a licensing fee that they had to pay just to show the highlights of my national championship match. And, this is after I graduated. I didn't see a dime of that, so here I am, graduated, the NCAA is still making money off me. So I think it's a good idea just because, like I said, college athletes, that's their full-time job, and I mean, if they're on scholarship, they're still basically broke college athletes. They're going check to check. And so if they can make some extra money off their likeness, I think it's a great opportunity, because quite a bit of them after college, they won't be competing in their sport anymore. They don't have that opportunity to get to the next level, to the pros. So, I feel like they should have the opportunity to capitalize when they can. But, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of work it all out. I think it'd be kind of crazy, especially certain sports like, football and basketball, where you do get these, I don't know if you want to call them A-list athletes or whatever, but the really popular ones, they might, I don't know, are they going to get more money than the other ones? How that's going to work out, I'm not really sure. But I think in some way they do need to figure out, and it should be allowed for athletes to make money off their likeness and their image in college.
Yeah, but there was in your book several instances where you almost quit wrestling, but just to get a job to help your mother feed your brothers and sister. And that would have certainly have helped if somebody could have, taken that burden off of you, because I know that those are the sorts of things that weighed on you, your sophomore and junior, even some of your senior year, about, that prevented you from performing at your best because you were distracted by these problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of, college athletes coming up that kind of can relate to that, single parent homes and, coming from tough backgrounds, the family struggling financially. So that would be a huge stress reliever off their backs, just having that opportunity. And like I said, a lot of them don't go past the college level. So, they deserve that opportunity to make what they can when they can.
I wanted to talk to Hasaan a little bit because his situation was a little different, where you were born without a leg. Hasaan had to actually have his legs removed at 4 years old. Do you remember when that happened?
No, I was actually 3 months old, and I don't remember a day without having legs. And that's why I did it so early. That way I wouldn't get any other like.
The article I read said 4 years old, so I just.
Yeah, it gets thrown around, but it was 3 months, and we did that way just so I don't remember anything. I don't get the initial phantom pains and stuff like that. And then it was just, why wait?
So how long was it before you realized that, maybe you weren't exactly like everybody else? It was apparent like right away, or because it seemed in Anthony's book that he didn't realize he was different for a long time because his mom told him he was perfect all the time. Yeah.
So, you look down, you're different, but at the same day, we all got a heartbeat. We all put our pants on the same way. So like, it wasn't nothing crazy. My parents treat me like a normal kid, and that's how I try to live, was a normal life. And that's how it should be. It was no, special treatment with, school or anything like that. It was just, I'm Hasaan Hawthorne, it's Anthony Robles, and we're just going to live our lives. And that's how we did it. And that's how a lot of people I know that have disabilities do it. And that's how it should be. You live your life to the fullest. We're all got the same heartbeat, all got put our pants on the same way. So that's how I was brought up, to just be you and just have fun, honestly, just take over life and just do you.
It's funny, Anthony was small most of his life, but the first time I ever saw you put on your prosthetic legs, you're like the tallest person I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall.
And you did that based on how tall you would have been had you correct. And aren't you taller than your father?
Yeah, he's like 6'2". He's a little short.
Yeah, he's tiny.
Yeah.
Do you like being up that high? Because I imagine you can adjust that to any height you want to be.
Yeah, you can, but it all depends on like your balance and stuff like that. I'm 6'4", 6'5". I stay about right there. I probably need to be a little bit taller, but that's a long fall. So, I'm not trying to get too tall. But I have really long arms. So like, I didn't look right when I was like 5'10". I looked like an alien. My arms would pass my knees. It didn't look proportionate, so I had to get taller. But I like being this tall. It's probably how tall I would be if not taller. So I like being tall. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. You probably would have been exceptional at any sport you had attempted. But, for us, we're glad it was wrestling because it's very inspiring.
Yeah. Wrestling's a great sport.
Yeah. What do you plan on doing with your life, Hasaan?
Plan on getting my master's in sports psychology soon. Trying to get back into adaptive sports, whether it's running track or swimming. I used to do a lot of that stuff before I wrestled, but then how wrestling is, you got to travel a lot, and if you want to be good, you got to put in the all-season work. So stop traveling doing that. But recently I've been working a lot in LA, working with some adaptive sports like that. Working for my prosthetic company called Hanger, being an ambassador. So I'm trying to get back in that world and help inspire our kids and just get back to kind of my childhood a little bit and get back to the Paralympic sport and stuff like that. So plan right now is to get my master's and then just see what's next. Honestly, I don't know. I still got a senior year to go through for wrestling, so we'll see.
Well, good luck. We're all rooting for you. Anthony set the bar really high for a senior year.
Yeah, he did.
You think you can match that?
We'll see. I gotta get healthy. I've been hurt all years in college, so I gotta get healthy.
You got to do it. It's your last year, man. It's the last year.
Yeah.
We just talked to Brandon. Watch our Brandon Womack interview about how he struggled with injuries, but he just said, it's my last year. I got to give it everything I have because he didn't want to have any regrets. And then they took it away from him.
Yep. So. No, yeah, I'm going to get healthy. We're going to see. I'm going to make some shake.
Yeah, you win that championship, we'll get you a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'll have 3 movie stars on our show.
So are you working with anybody, Hasaan? I mean, as far as your rehab, are you just doing it yourself? And are you really watching your diet as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch my diet. I'm not really working with anybody for real because of the the Corona stuff. I'm trying to get physical therapy, but just with everything going on, my family thinks it's kind of smart to stay at home right now and just work on strengthening my hips. But when everything opens back up, I'll get back with my physical therapist and get my body right.
Do you know Frank has a business in holistic health? And
really?
He might be a good person to get in touch with. Try and heal your body back up.
That's what he does. Man.
Definitely reach out. Give me a call. You know, there's so much you can do, and that will improve the way you recover and keep. And one of those pieces, and I'll just really quickly, is that really got to take the sugar out of your diet and any pro-inflammatory food. And there's 8 of them that I test for really right off the bat. And if you're not taking those out of the diet, then you're causing inflammation and you're really slowing your healing process. So there's some real specific. That's why I asked if you're working with somebody.
Yeah, not right now. I'm just, my dad eats really healthy, really clean. So I've been trying to do that. But right now I'm just walking and doing some home exercises, trying to get healthy until I can get back with a physical therapist.
Are you doing any swimming?
No, nah. I'm not a big fan of swimming. That's why I quit. But my dad always says to get back in that pool. But it's a love-hate, mostly leaning towards the hate in the swimming pool.
Depending on what your injury is, and that would be something we have to go through. That would be one of the things that could be very helpful in your recovery. But just really to be smart, take good care of yourself, start everything slow, build up. That's what I always recommend.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
I have a question for Anthony, if you don't mind. I would just love to know, because of coronavirus, there's really not much travel. Are you doing any motivational speaking? Are you now having to do Zoom versions of that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it just kind of wiped my whole schedule out. I have no idea right now. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because usually in the summertime, I have a big summer conference in Washington, D.C. It's a youth leadership conference for junior high kids. So right now, I'm just kind of hanging out at home. I know my speakers bureau has been talking about possibly doing some virtual conferences. Nothing has come about just yet. So I'm just kind of focusing on really just kind of building up my podcast, kind of working on getting some interviews together, and hoping to launch that in June. But, unfortunately, what I tell myself is that I just got to focus on what I can control, and unfortunately right now I can't control what's going on. None of us can. We just got to do the best of what we got. And so right now I'm just, I'm moving forward, staying positive. I'm working out here at home, doing the podcast stuff, and just trying to keep busy that way. So, I know things will clear up, just kind of waiting and being patient until they do.
You were broadcasting the national championship last year, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any pointers for Greg, who broadcasts the Thompson High wrestling matches?
I have fun with it. I don't know, just talk like I would if I was out there competing. And one of the things I've learned is it's like you can't even blink. You can't turn away for a second. Sometimes, like, I know we'll be commentating the match live, and so I have my iPad right down below me. Just to every wrestler, different things that they do, their strengths, their weaknesses, stuff like that. So there's been a couple times where I'm like looking down, and I'm looking at my notes, and something big happens. Like I miss it. Like I don't know what to say. What just happened? So they say just don't blink.
Yeah, that's for sure. I usually have Scott with me as well. He gets us in trouble saying stuff, so I gotta be careful. So
I got us banned from a few places.
Oh man!
Unfortunately, and Greg likes to point out all the cute women in the crowd, so he gets in trouble that way. I don't think that's very professional, Greg. I don't think they didn't teach that at Anthony's broadcasting training.
No,
it's just like the mat misses and stuff. That's what you're talking about, or
what kind of training did they put you through to do that?
For the commentating, actually, there really wasn't any specific training. The opportunity to commentate for ESPN, it came about shortly after I won my title. That next year, there was an open position, and so I just remember we flew out to it was North Carolina, and they had ESPN had a studio out there, and so the plan was to kind of run me through a little boot camp and do some training. But they put me on air with Tim Johnson, and basically we were just kind of doing like a mock commentating thing about the previous national tournament. And so like you just go out there, just sit down and talk wrestling with Tim. And so you're just, just tell us what you see, just like you would if you were trying to evaluate an opponent. And so I just got out there, and I think the match we were commentating was, it was Jordan Oliver. I can't remember who he was wrestling, but, I just remember talking about, different things he was doing with his stance and his motion. And I think we did that for about an hour and a half. I'm like, okay, job's yours. If you want it, you're good to go. And so I'd never had to do any official training after that. But, just like wrestling, I'm always trying to improve. I try to go back and watch film, and I'm learning from other commentators and taking notes. And, I always go in, try to over prepare, so like I'll go in, my iPad's full of notes and all the wrestlers and their backgrounds and, strengths and weaknesses and that sort of thing. So just love being around it. And I just try to do my best to do the sport justice. I love it. So.
Were you lined up to do it this year?
I was. Yeah, I was bummed. What's that?
That must have been disappointing.
It was. It was going to be a lot of fun. In Minnesota at the U.S. Bank Stadium. I mean, we were hyped up. We were talking about all the different types of coverage we were going to be having for the tournament, and I was actually just wrapping up and finalizing my notes, and then we get the news that first it was they're not going to allow spectators, and then I think it was like 2 days later they're like it's completely canceled, and it was a blow, and I mean, I think for me, I mean, I'm on the small side of that, compared to what the athletes had to feel, and that was awful, and just for the sport in general. I mean, the 1 year we decided to do it in a huge arena like that, then all this happened. So it was very disappointing, but, wrestling's going to be okay. We're going to come back, and I know they're talking about doing some other big venues, big arenas like that in the future. So.
Excellent. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you for motivational speaking, how would they do that?
Well, for motivational speaking, they can just go to my website, anthonyrobles.com. And then, I'm on social media right now. It's just arobles125. And, my podcast is the Unstoppable Podcast, also on Instagram. So just blessed and trying to move forward, just use the opportunities and platforms that I have. And like I said, give back, motivate others, and promote wrestling, as much as I can.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come out here and, talk about your movie and your life, and you too, Hasaan, and Shute. It's great to have you back. I'm so excited that you came back on the show, man. All right. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck, Anthony. I can't wait for this movie to come out. There's going to be a huge debate. Which movie's better, Vision Quest or Unstoppable? We don't know how it's going to turn out. At the moment, Vision Quest is on top. But, I'm hoping you can give it a good run.
You talk wrestling, man. Vision Quest is the movie. So to even be mentioned in that category alongside it would be an honor.
Yeah, we're going to have Hasaan sit down with us and watch it pretty soon.
Definitely.
Of course.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you all soon.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Much, guys. Catching up.
All right, good to see you again, Anthony.
You as well. Take care, Frank.
I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Can't wait. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.